please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Hello and welcome to Halftime Report. It is 12 noon and we're here to take stock of everything that's moving on the street right now. It's again a great start to the week. Bulls in control. That's what the first week of 2018 was all about, and that's exactly the trend that's continuing right now. You can see how steady that graph has been, 10,600. And again, it's pretty much across the board. Nifty, Sensex, take a look at the way the mid caps are soaring. I guess the party is very much on. Hi, Nigel.
Hi, Surbhi. Sizzling in red is what you're looking like today. But in fact, that's not really the color on the screen. It's green on the screen. And let's add to the list some of these, hotel stocks. They have checked in. Just take a look at that. Big gains on all those stocks. All of them spiking up to the high point of the day. Royal Orchid as well spiking up. Kamath Hotels. And mind you, some of these stocks are already up 2-3 times in 2017 itself. And we're just starting off 2018. And they are checking in with some big gains. All of them moving to the high point of the day. Taj, GVK as well. I'm not too sure in terms of what are the volumes are there. But in fact, that stock as well is moving high. I think it's picked up in the last few minutes. Just take a look at that. Up closer around 9% as we speak. So keep an eye out even on Taj, GVK spiking up. And how? Rupee is showing some strength, and you have the IT index as well. That's doing well. That's telling you that almost every sector is participating in this kind of a rally. Just take a look at that. The IT index should come up for you on the screen. The rupee has strengthened to around that 63.5 odd mark, and you have the IT index that's holding with a gain of around 1%. Normally, the trade would be when the rupee shows some bit of strength. Well, in fact, that you'd be shorting some of these IT stocks. But stocks like TCS, they're up more than 1% in today's trading session, and that really is telling you that the sentiment is so strong. The bulls, they believe they're in control. They're going out there, they're buying more stocks, and in fact, making some money. But plenty of other stocks are moving around. So let's get straight to our movers and shakers segment. And let's start off with Ekta. She's been telling us all about Sun Pharma, and that's one of the big gainers on the Nifty today. Ekta.
Well, the news on Sun Pharmaceuticals, and we're picking this up from our sources, that the inspection for the Halol facility is expected to start on the 12th of Feb and end on the 23rd of Feb. Remember that it is a re-inspection that is going to be taking place of this facility, and hence even the previous inspection was around 2 odd weeks, and that particular re-inspection, or this particular re-inspection, is expected to go on for 2 weeks as well. Now, just to give you a background, all the way back in around 2015, the Halol facility had received a warning letter from the US FDA. It was re-inspected by the US FDA in November-December 2016 and was issued 9 observations at that point in time. The Sun Pharma management had completed the remediation by around Q2 of this quarter of this financial year, FY18, and had re-invited the US FDA. And now we understand that the US FDA has given them final dates in terms of the re-inspection, which is in the second week of Feb. Now, just to add that generally sometimes there could be some technical issues which could even be, for example, visa issues which could change the dates of a particular inspection. So you have to go with that little bit of a caveat. Overall, remember that Halol is around 20% of US sales, but it has gone down in terms of contribution and importance as it used to be, because a lot of the products have also been transferred out because of a risk mitigation strategy, and not to mention that many of the products which are already filed from that facility have pretty much become redundant because of the kind of competition and the lack of approvals from that facility. So important, because it is a really important facility nevertheless for Sun Pharmaceuticals, and because it would be a huge sentiment boost for the company once this particular plant, if in case it is cleared.
Okay, Ekta, thanks very much for that. Yeah, so that's the prospect that's cheering up Sun. Actually, as we mentioned in the headline, a couple of other pharma stocks also on a tear today. But right now, let's focus on one real estate company, Sobha, which came out with fantastic pre-sales numbers. Once again, stock is up 5%. Continues to surge higher, Sonal?
Absolutely, it does continue to surge higher. In fact, the last time when you spoke to the management, they did say that they will be able to deliver a double-digit volume growth, and they have been able to live up to their promises. In fact, even the sales value has gone up by 63% year-on-year basis, and the volumes are up 52%. I think this is because of the lower base, but still the sales value is highest in last 11 quarters, giving realizations around 6,500 rupees per square feet. Even sequentially, they've done well. The volumes are up 3%, and the value is up 8%. If I go by the markets, the Bangalore market has contributed close to 67% to their sales. They've seen some sort of recovery in the NCR market. Remember, NCR market was going through some hard times, but looks like some sort of growth is coming back. And I spoke to some analysts. They say that they think that Sobha is the best company which is getting the benefits from the RERA-led consolidation, and going forth also they'll be able to get some benefits from this. And overall, yes, the stock is up in trade today.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much for that, Sonal. Well, let's get back to Ekta. Ekta, tell us, what about Indico? You're picking up some source-based information there as well?
Well, yes, for Indico Remedies, that stock is in focus because they have a Unit 1 which is located in Goa. It is an oral solid dosage facility, and that I understand from my sources is going to start seeing an inspection from the US FDA next week, which is on the 15th of Jan. Now, why is this important is because Indico Remedies already has 2 facilities which are currently under warning letter by the US FDA, and that is basically Unit 2 and Unit 3 in the Goa facility. So hence it would be important to track, though this particular facility I understand does not contribute as much to total sales as the others. Now, if you're talking about the US business, it has been declining for Indico in the past couple of quarters, showing volatility simply because of the US FDA issues that they have to deal with. But nonetheless, if you look at the export data, it's around 25% of total exports for Indico.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Ekta, for that on Indigo. Well, a couple of other stocks are also buzzing around on the back of news. Let's get that list going with Naveen Shetty. Naveen.
So I'll begin with JP Infra as well as JP Associates. Both are up in trade today, especially JP Infra, because early morning reports Surabhi suggested that Tata Housing as well as Lodha will be in the race for their Yamuna Expressway. Remember, this is the same entity which holds the India's only operational Formula 1 track. Talking about the company has already been in the NCLT for debt resolution and has a debt of close to around 9,500 crore. Remember, CNBC TV18 hasn't verified this news report. The other stock that is in focus is a bit of a sentiment dampener for Shakti Pumps. Remember, they have notified to the exchanges that the company has received a demand notice from the IT department. Meager amount, I would say just 14 crores. Nevertheless, a sentiment dampener. On the other hand, the company will be going ahead and contesting the demand notice from the IT department further ahead. But the stock is down in trade today. Back to you.
Okay, all right. Before we get to our next stock, now I just want to pull up the intraday chart of Fortis Healthcare. Suddenly, in the last few minutes, there has been some intensified selling actually on that counter. So Fortis Healthcare should come up for you on the screen. I don't know whether there is some news that is coming in there, but we have seen some big profit booking there. Remember, the stock had a good run. It moved from around that 130 mark to around that 160 mark. But now, in fact, there is some selling. So just keep an eye out on that counter. But let's move on then. The liquor sector went into last weekend on a high with all stocks clocking in some strong gains. We spoke to Shekhar Swaroop, the joint MD of Globus Spirits, and he says he expects IMIL sales to grow at around 50 to around 20%. Let's hear him out.
We've had a start of our West Bengal facility, which has led to about 40% increase in capacities, overall installed capacities for us. That plant is running at well over 90% capacity utilization. And therefore, there's been very strong revenue growth for us. Overall, our IMIL sales are north of 1 million cases a month, and we are hopeful to grow them at about 10-15% plus per annum.
Okay, that was Globus Spirits. More management commentary. JSPL will raise 1,000 crore rupees via a QIP in February. That is the word coming in from Chairman Naveen Jindal, who was speaking to our colleague Anshu Sharma. Now, Mr. Jindal also added that the company's loan is not going to go up. That's the total debt level, and they seem to claim that they have it pretty much under control.
We are going to be raising only about 1,000 crores.
Okay.
And we are going to be utilizing it mostly for some debt repayment, okay, and just completion projects we have completed, but some we need to pay to our suppliers and stuff. Some a lot of creditors are there, so just to clear all those payments. A small portion, maybe around 1,000 to 1,500 crores of priority debt. Okay. Again, for long-term working capital requirements and for the capex that we have incurred. So for which we need some loans. Okay. So for that only. But with this also, our total debt is not going to increase. Okay. Because by the time we take this much loan, we would have also repaid about the same amount. So in fact, our loan is not going to go up.
Well, Goa Carbon has been a 10-bagger in the past 1 year. Now, its Q3 results were strong on better realizations as well as volumes. We spoke with the management earlier today and they expect Q4 to be strong as well on the back of large orders.
Fourth quarter, we have confirmed orders of almost 50,000 metric tons. So which means we will cross hopefully about more than 200,000 tons. And we still have about second half of February and March to go. So we are negotiating new orders with our customers. So we expect the approximate turnover for Q4 to be in the range of 150 to 160 crores, which should take us to our turnover of close to 600 crores for FY 17-18.
Well, let's do a quick recap then of all the buzzing stocks that we just covered. We have Sun Pharma, we have Indico Remedies, Goa Carbon, Shobha, Shakti Pumps, JP Associates, JP Infra, Venus Remedies, JSPL, as well as Global Spirits. Well, let's get chatting with another management, Saturn Credit Care. In fact, that's a stock on our radar. Remember, the company partnered with Cora Management. Cora has made an investment of roughly around 80 crores. I'm referring to an equity investment. That's going to help Saturn Credit support, the growth, digital initiatives as well going ahead. But to understand that in greater detail, we're joined by Mr. H.P. Singh, the founder and MD of Saturn Credit Care. Hi, Mr. Singh. Thanks so much, sir, for joining in, and congratulations on this equity infusion of around 80 crores. If you could give us a sense of how does this change things for Saturn Credit? How does it work? Will it be some equity dilution? And if that's the case, what will be the new holding structure of the company?
This is part of our preferential allotment, which we have done on 22nd December, part of our shareholders meeting. So this will be part of our fundraise of about 205 crores. So this is part of that. Cora is coming in as an investor, and they are also joining the board. What we are actually looking at in terms of our way forward is that Cora has a lot of on-ground capabilities and expertise in technology across Latin America, China and all. And we want to gain and get some value addition from them in terms of our digital push across in our lending terminologies as such. So that's what we are trying to look at.
So, Mr. Singh, there have been numerous fundraising exercises over the last 12 to 15 months. There was one in October, again March, August, October. And this is the latest one, 205 crores, as you pointed out. Sir, can you just tell us what is the equity dilution that we've seen on the expanded equity base? What's the dilution over 1 year? Let's say from March to March 18. What is the dilution that we're looking at? And are you done with equity raising, or is there more coming ahead?
No, this is part of our earlier capital raise, which happened in December. So this is not a new capital raise. This is part of the capital raise, which we had announced earlier, and this is part of that. And in terms of our dilution, I think the promoters now stand diluted to about 29%, down from close to about 32% from there. And I think, we have now sufficient capital enough for us to take whatever initiatives we have to take them forward. We have growth capital, which is now over there, since our capital adequacy is fairly stable and good, looking at about 29.76%. I think, for the near term, I think we're done with our capital raise.
So what would you define as the near term, if you could help us out with that? 29% is what the promoter holding has come down. And I remember the last time you spoke to us, sir, you were sounding confident that your gross NPAs will come in lower and growth as well will pick up. Are both those two happening?
Yeah, both of them have happened, so if I just give you an insight of our last month's disbursement as such, it has been close to about 600 crores plus across our group companies. Standalone for Saturn Microfinance, it has been closer to about 570 crores or so. So these are provisional figures in terms of our disbursement coming in. If you look at the quarter, I think it's closer to about 1,200 crores plus. And in terms of our NPAs, our gross NPAs are now below 10%, 9.5% as such, and our net NPAs are below 3.80% as such. So that's where we are in terms of other things. So we fairly covered a large ground in terms of our last quarter.
So you mentioned gross NPAs have come down to a level of 9.5%, is it?
That's right.
Okay, so that would be a marked improvement. I mean, that would be almost a whole 2 percentage points below where you were at the end of Q2. So is this sort of...
Yes,
yeah, so
we were at about 11.63.
Exactly.
I remember. Yeah.
So now, do you hope to kind of sustain at these kind of NPA levels, or is there maybe, you know, some kind of a scope of reducing that figure even further?
So for the outside world, I'll leave it at, we'll probably be stable at this, but for us internally, I think we're taking it below that also.
Mr. Singh, I remember you were telling us that there were hopes of a rating upgrade. Has that happened? If you could help us out, what's your cost of borrowing as of now? What was it? And if you could give us your borrowing mix as well, any hope of a rating upgrade? That will lower your cost of funds.
We haven't had a rating upgrade, but the only upgrade which has happened across with our rating agencies that we've transformed our rating from BBB plus negative to now BBB plus stable. So that's the upgrade which has happened. I think, you know, once probably, we wish our December quarter results are out, I think, you know, probably the rating agencies can then again take a fresh look at what we have been able to give in terms of our results. Our borrowing cost has probably declined slightly from where we were in the last quarter. As I think maybe about 0.25 basis points across what we would have dropped. And so we've dropped our yield to our end customers by another 0.5 basis points starting from this quarter.
And what is your mix, sir? If you could help us out with your borrowing mix.
The borrowing mix is majorly all financial institutions of public sector banks, private sector banks, and foreign institutions, which is probably be their equity forms. I told you about the capital adequacy of about 29-30% or so. So that's how the mix is all about.
Mr. Singh, now last quarter, Q2, you also managed a smart improvement in your margin from about 10%, almost the NIM was touching the 11% zone. But obviously in the last 3 months, you know, yields have been just surging, going through the roof, the benchmark yield at least. How does that impact your cost of funds, and what should we expect on the margin front?
The margin, I think, you know, for us, we'll remain stable at that. You know, what we are trying to actually help, and along with this, the digital improvement, whichever we bring across, is going to actually improve our margin in terms of bringing our operating costs down. We've been able to get a 1% close to an operating down from in the last 6 months to 8 months or so. And we fairly look ahead in terms of bringing our operating cost again down, whatever basis points we are able to do, and that will possibly improve our margins in the next few quarters once we do that.
Okay. All right, Mr. Singh, we'll leave it on that note. Thanks very much for joining in. That's Satin Credit Care saying that equity raising is done for now, so don't expect any more dilution. And that's a substantial improvement in the net NPA figure that he's already actually shared with us, saying that net NPAs are now down to at least the single-digit zones, about 9.5%. That figure was 11.5% just last quarter.
Absolutely. You know, Surabhi, if you got lucky and if you bought the stock in the middle of 2017, you would have doubled your money, because the 52-week low is at around 244 rupees. Let's pull up the last 1 year chart. You'll see that the way the stock has doubled. So, you know, just keep that in mind. The gross NPAs are coming in lower. They're talking that, you know, the disbursements have picked up as well. But some part of that could be factored in the price. The 6-month chart should come up for you. You just take a look at that low, 242.45 approximately. Currently, it's moving towards that 500 rupee mark. But the management is sounding confident. So you like that. But I will be a little uncomfortable if that shareholding, you know, of the promoter drops even from here, from that 29% on.
Yeah. Okay, it continues to be up and away on the street. Nifty about, 53 points on the higher side. The one stock that's probably catching my eye right now is Bosch. Let's get the intraday going, because there's a nice upsurge on that counter. Almost 1.5% on the upside. There we go. Someone's out to buy Bosch in big quantities. Stocks on the move. Ashwini Gujral and Prakash Gaba with us as promised. So let's get some trading ideas going and some thoughts on the market as well. Ashwini, how's it looking so far?
Well, you know, not very good. I mean, you started 50 points gap up. I don't think you even gained 10 points from there. Now, having said that, midday you are still holding a 50-point gain, 100-point on Bank Nifty. So, you know, generally expansions mean that you go and close at the highs of the session. So maybe you can still buy here and see if the market has a final burst, but fairly lackluster, and this sort of expansion, first day of an expansion, means that the expansion won't really last too long, whatever the Dow does, etc. So large caps, particularly big banks, Reliance, big stocks, they aren't really able to show follow through. Having said that, smaller stocks are doing well. So L&T Finance and Holding is a buy with a stop of 177, target of 190. CG Power is a buy with a stop of 92, target of 100. And South India Bank is a buy with a stop of 31, target of 38.
Okay, all right. Prakash, let's get your picks that you have for us today.
I have two picks. I'll go for Godrej Properties. That looks good to me. Godrej Properties likely to climb to levels closer to 770 zones. May take a day or two for that. Stop below 720 on Godrej Properties should be fine. I also like LIC Housing Finance. It's given a good breakout. LIC Housing Finance. The way it's trading looks like it's climbing to levels closer to around 600 zones. Stop below 570.
Okay, fair enough. By the way, there is some buying in some select sugar stocks. Bajaj Hindustan is now up almost 4%. So this is about the last 15-20 minutes of trading action on this one. There's pretty much the day's high on that stock as we see it right now.
Yeah, just I was looking at a couple of articles online, so and be wondering what's going on with these hotel stocks. All of them are spiking up. Well, there are some news articles that indicate that Lemon Tree Hotels, they have got, SEBI's now to go ahead with their IPO. So maybe, in fact, that's what's leading to a bit of a re-rating for the entire space. You have Kamath Hotels that's moving higher, you have Royal Orchid, you have Taj GVK, all these stocks are moving higher. So normally we see when there is a player that comes to list on the exchanges, then the current clutch of stocks, all of them get re-rated. So we'll keep an eye out on that front. When exactly does Lemon Tree Hotels come to do the IPO? What valuations will they do it at? And then, in fact, maybe that could have a bit of a rub-off effect on all these stocks. Royal Orchid, I think that was the one that was up 15% approximately. Let's see what that as well is doing. Currently, these stocks as well are holding in the green, but they've come off the high point of the day. Royal Orchid is a stock that we're asking for. It's flashing for you, I think, at the bottom of your screen. It's still holding with a gain of around 17% approximately. So just keep an eye out on all those stocks.
I'm just going to go back to Bosch for a second, because I don't know what's happening with this stock. It's just not stopping. I mean, you thought that maybe that's just sort of one quick spike on the stock, but no, it's simply building on and on. It's just going up and away. Ashwini, you want to sort of come in here? 20,100 Bosch. Is it worth any sort of a trade?
Basically, now people are looking for whatever hasn't moved, because you can say there is a bit of safety there, but it's trading below its 200-day moving average. So a rally back up to 22,000 isn't out of ordinary, but there are better stocks than buying stuff which is already below the 200-day moving average. It's a weak stock.
Okay, all right, Ashwini. Well, I think we should pull up a last 6-month chart of Bosch. So I remember it went to around 25,000.